Hold up, limitless. Niggas send me guy pinning it. I fought the head to witness it. Got my people feeling militant. Way I'm feeling got me up. On the mission got me up. Knowing me, I got the key. Only vision I can trust. Limitless. Niggas send me guy pinning it. I fought the head to witness it. Got my people feeling militant.
We're also now joined by DeSean Jackson, Ted White, and Trei Oliver. There was just a mini argument now because DeSean didn't see his jersey behind him like he saw behind Coach, and he was about to have an issue. DeSean, it's funny right now. You're the only one that's still in a suit, yes, right? Coach took off his shirt early on. He was suited and booted, had a tie on. Right. Channing's excited because he wants this HU sweatshirt.
Yeah, that's mine now.
But for you, DeSean, obviously I got to be a teammate of yours. I know the way that you worked. I know how much you love the game of football and how you poured into it each and every day on the football field as a player. Talk a little bit about the transition to head coach now at Delaware State.
Yeah, I mean, I think the transition is simple for me, man. You know, to have success is one way about going about it, your daily work. And I'm very personal with my players. You know, I'm able to get in there. I still throw on the cleats. I still feel like I can play. We were just talking about last night. I'm only 3 years removed from it. But, you know, I think from my perspective, man, being able to get to the nitty-gritty, man, and I think for me, the coaches I respected was the one that could relate to me, you know, to understand what I'm going through in my daily life, you know, because it's not always about football. You know, you may be going through something at home. So for me, I'm just very personal with my players, and I understand them. I don't expect nobody to be perfect because we human, you know, we're going to make mistakes. But just to correct them and learn from them is the biggest thing I'm in this position for.
Yeah.
And to be in the back, coaches, and y'all know each other. Y'all cool, but you got to line it up sooner or later. But it's a smaller conference.
Yes.
So just do y'all exchange information or try to, you know, figure out things in the offseason together and then break off and figure out how you're going to whoop each other?
Last night was the first time we had an opportunity to actually collectively spend time together and getting the chance to know DeSean and getting the chance to know Mike. And, you know, obviously I knew Trei because he coached in Louisiana and we had an opportunity to go against each other a couple times. Man, it's a blessing because you see that these guys are family guys, you know, to hear DeSean talk about his family. I've been knowing Trei a long time. For those guys to know my family. Mike Vick daughter, she's going to Howard University, so he said that he wants her to obviously work in the sports department and being to get a chance to work with the football team. So any way that we can help these guys, because again, we're African-American coaches trying to have an opportunity to build a culture around African-American men. You know, not only build them as football players, but being able to reach them and build them for the game of life also.
Yeah, and with that, for the three of you guys, when we talk about MEAC and SWAC and HBCU, we usually talk about the culture. But for each of you, what standard do you look to instill in these young men that you just speak about?
Just life after football. You know, this offseason, it was really important for me, for these guys to get bigger, stronger, and faster in the weight room. But we also had an opportunity to have media training for our guys. We had a chance for alums to come in and actually teach our guys how to put together a resume. We talked to our guys about mental health awareness, all right, dealing with peer pressure, understanding on a structured schedule. But we also had an opportunity to talk to our guys on how to interview for a job. These are the tools that we're able to equip our guys to, obviously, when this game expires from us, being able to be successful outside of football.
Trei, you know, you played the game of football. You played defensive back. You punted too,
yes,
right? Could you really punt, or were you one of those guys that punt that's also athletic that would act like he fumbled it so he could run it when he got back to him?
That video.
I was all right. I was all confident before you know.
There we go.
You know, but to get an opportunity to be at your alma mater, right, and pour back into young men who are in the exact same spot you were at that time, how much pride do you take in the position you hold, but also sort of mentoring the next generation of young men to do the same thing you've done?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question because obviously I'm an alum of North Carolina Central, but my mom and dad went there. And, you know, I take a lot of pride in my university, and there's a lot of people counting on me to take my university next step. But this game has become so transactional now. And for me and the rest of these coaches in here, it's about nuts and bolts about developing young men. And like Ted said, you know, we had cooking classes last week, teaching kids how to cook. We took them to the car dealership because so many brothers don't know how to change tires and just how to become a man, you know, all the way around. So I take a lot of pride, and I'm so grateful for my university. They gave me opportunity, my first head coaching job. Yeah. I've been doing this for 26 years, and my school is the one that gave me the opportunity.
Yeah.
I was gonna say that's cool to hear, but as a football coach, isn't that a waste of time to teach somebody how to change a tire or cook? You know what I'm saying? Like we should be in the lab. We should be breaking down cover 4. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But like, how do you I'm gonna say justify it, but where does your mindset on that?
Football is football. You know what I'm saying? Obviously, that's what it's about. We want to win championships, and first and foremost, going to graduate young men.
Mm-hmm.
But somebody's going to date my granddaughter one day. You know what I'm saying? And these young men, for them to be great men and great fathers and great husbands, they got to be able to understand how to survive and how to live. And football is going to end, obviously, like you all know.
Yes, it does.
And they've got to be able to survive out here in life. And that's my number one job, is to develop young men. And I think we've done an outstanding job.
Absolutely, you have. DeSean, you mentioned something earlier I want to get back to, though. You said the coaches that really resonated with you were coaches that cared about the players. In this new world of football, which is transactional, how difficult is it to develop a relationship with these young men, knowing that, they're looking for NIL and the transfer portal is a thing, and you may only have them for a year if you develop them into a great player?
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely tough. The new dynamics of college football, you don't have time to invest with the kid on the long term, right? Like you may have a kid for a season and you look up and he's gonna hit the portal, especially the kids that are the better kids. So for me, I look at it as like you got to get personal with them, but you got to understand too, you may not have them long term. So, like Trey said, whatever you pour into that young man, regardless on the field, off the field, it's intangibles. Like to be successful in life, you have to work a certain way. Like you just can't have the success without working towards it. So I think you build that, but you got to peel back the layers. Because for me, like it was coaches that told me to run a route a certain way, but I don't really respect you, so I may not run it the way you want me to run it, But if I respect you, I'm gonna go to extra efforts, So I think that's building that relationship where they can understand, like, I want you to run through this brick wall, but why you want me to run through this brick wall? Because I'm gonna run through it with you. You know what I'm saying? And that's how you accomplish it.
Yeah, I think the why is important, but there's the saying that they don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And I think to Channing's point about the cooking classes, it's not so much that we're cooking. We also know we can't do football 24/7. The physicality of the sport won't allow, but that does give me another opportunity to pour into you as a man.
Right.
Gives me another opportunity to say, you know what, when I leave here, I will take a skill I can take from a moment where I had a conversation with my coach that wasn't just about X's and O's, and I do believe that's all important as well.
If we had to watch one game this year, what's one characteristic would you like for us that you would like to just jump out at us if we watch one game?
We can go South Carolina State. They won it. They were the champs this year, but that game came down to the wire. And that was a very physical football game. And at the end of the game, it was tough. But, me and Coach Berry, Kevin Cross, we shook hands, and that's my dog. We used to work together at Southern. He was the OC, and I was the defensive coordinator. But we play a great brand of football in the MEAC. We're very physical. And, Commissioner said it. You can look at the stats from the MEAC SWAC Challenge or Celebration Bowl. Respect to the SWAC, shout out, but we do this.
Hey, he was trying to be nice, right? He was like, he went from check the numbers, my bad, y'all still cool, but y'all know what it is.
Like you fired up, ready to go right now.
I'm just saying.
But that confidence, Coach, we hear now, and they say these young boys are changing. Right. I won't say old, we're mature. We all play ball. Are they changing? Is it still that passion? Is it still that intensity that it was back in the day?
It is. It is. I think sometimes as coaches we change because we see the landscape of everything. And HBCU ball, you're not going to always get the best players. All right, so it got some great coaches in HBCU because you got to be developers. All right, not only that, you got to be the coach, you got to be the dad, you got to be the counselor, you got to be the advisor. All right, and that's what makes HBCU football so special, and that's why you see guys graduate and come back with their families 15 years later because of what that coach meant to them. All right, when I went to Howard University, I'm same situation as Trey. I graduated from Howard University in 1998. All right, me and Freddie T, I was in training camp with the Jacksonville Jaguars, and boy, we played the game all day, But during that meantime, I would call my coach Steve Wilson, and he would ask me about my daily activities and what I was doing to get better. All right, like that's why it makes HBCU ball so special because that coach is just more than a coach than just a football coach.
You were the MEAC Player of the Year.
Right.
Like let's not gloss over what you accomplished when you were at Howard. You just weren't on the team. When you're talking to your players, how much do you express, because when we talk to Miss Sonia, like she expressed the culture, right? The community, the love, the spirit of the school. How much do you impress on them the blessing it is and the opportunity to play for Howard University and the way you have to show that through your effort?
It's a surreal feeling, all right? Being a kid from Louisiana that had an opportunity to come as a 17-year-old from a recommendation from Doug Williams, right? It was just ironic that I played quarterback, but I had other people that I looked at. You know, Doug Williams grew up with my mom and my dad. Fred Dean, who was my offensive line coach at Howard University, they played together with the Washington Redskins. So I had an opportunity to go to Howard University, and Steve Wilson, another guy who graduated from Howard University, he sold me on, man, you could be the best player to ever come out of Howard University. Not only you could be the best player, but you could go out in this world and you could do anything that you want to do. That's our job as coaches, to make sure that we give these guys hope. We give them an opportunity that if you don't make it in the NFL, that now you have an opportunity to go in any atmosphere and not be fearful or anything.
Yeah. DeSean, what's the biggest difference for you now in being a coach from a leadership position that, as opposed to when you played the game in the NFL?
And first off, I would have never sat here and predicted I would have been a head coach in collegiate football, first and foremost. Like, it'd be surreal. Like, I sit back, because, you know, I'm just 3 years removed from playing. You know, my last season was here in Baltimore. My locker was right there. So, for me, I mean, I just see a big responsibility, because I feel like I got so much information to get back to these young men. You know, like, I did a lot of great things and I did a lot of wrong things as well too. So if they could pick up from all the negative things and with the success I had, just imagine if I would have done the things that I did wrong right. So for me, I think being that closely removed, a lot of my players, they understand, like, okay, coaches asked me to do this for a certain reason. Like, at the end of the day, we all know the NFL is only a select few who's gonna really make it there. But, like, you know, if we can, we got to make sure they graduate and walking across stage, and then putting the intangibles into their lives and their skills, and, you know, working hard. Because for me, I feel like there was a lot of naysayers that didn't believe in me. I was always too small, I couldn't do this. But at the end of the day, like, my work ethic was superior to none.
Yeah.
A lot of people didn't see my work. But at the end of the day, like, I was able to play 15 years for a reason. So, you know, just really giving them those intangibles. But I like to relate to the players, man, because at the end of the day, it's about the players. It's not about me. My career and what I did, it speaks for itself. But now I'm pouring into these young men, and that's the future.
It also showed, though, with the ability to transition and have immediate success as a head coach as well. I know there were a lot of people from the outside looking in who would say, okay, what credentials does DeSean Jackson have to be a head coach?
Sure.
And you cut the film on, watch your team's effort, watch your team's organization, the way they communicate, you can understand why you deserve the job.
But D-Jack, also, how different is it to being one of the baddest things on the field to now sitting there begging a 16-year-old to come to school?
Nah, for real. I mean, just like Ted said, I mean, I think we wearing a million different hats. You know, being at a HBCU, obviously, when I got into this position, I didn't know all the things that was going to be put on my plate. So I'm talking to, you know, compliance officers, admissions. Like, I'm trying to make sure players going to school, getting good grades. So, like you said, I had a player come in last year and was like, Coach, I'm gonna be honest, man, I'm going to the highest bidder. I said, huh? Like, I wish I would have went in the Pete Carroll office or somebody's office and be like, Coach, I want all this money. I'm like, I looked at it, I said, man, I ain't gonna lie, I ain't gonna be the highest bidder, you know what I'm saying? So it's just the realest, like, some of these young men, they just led by money, and it's like, at the end of the day, the money's gonna come. Like, you know, we all know, we all made good money, but if you stay your principles and your tangibles down to the nitty gritty, like, the money gonna come. And some of these dudes are just chasing money and just thinking, okay, go get 100,000. You look up, that's gonna be gone and snap a finger. You got to pay tax. They don't know it's a lot of responsibility, and they just thinking, oh, I'm about to go get 100,000. I'm set for life. Like, no, the real players getting to the NFL. It's not collegiately, you know. And I just think the era of college football, like, they got to figure this out, man, because it's bad.
Coach, how do you deal with that? You know, because there has to be, I mean, for both of you, Coach Oliver and Coach White, like, there's just this level of pride I would expect in coaching for the school you played for. And not only did you play for that school, like you said, after all that you've done over 2 decades, they gave you an opportunity to be a head coach.
Right.
But then having to sell your school day after day, year after year to young men you're developing, how have you dealt with the change of the landscape in college football?
Well, to me, it's about people. People make you powerful. You know, that's one thing I talk to these parents about. It's about, I got people in my building that's going to pour into your young man. You know, brick and mortar is not going to develop your son. I don't care how big that other school stadium is, how many different uniform combinations they have. That's not going to develop your child. And we're going to love your son My guys come in the office all the time. And I take away the transitional aspect of it all, and I still love my guys. You know, I'm hard on them, all that stuff, but I got an open door policy. They in and out of my office all the time. And I see a lot of guys, they call back to transfer. Coach, the head coach don't even talk to me. I don't even go by the head coach office. It's nothing like that. It's all transactional. It's all about the money. It's all about the business. But as a black man at HBCU, it's my responsibility to make sure these kids make it.
Love that. Yeah. How about for you, Coach? How have you dealt with that? And listen, I've been around a lot of people that went to Howard. Now, y'all don't think nowhere in the world better than Howard.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Hey, according to y'all, it's one HBCU, but how do you deal with the players, making sure they understand that this is a great place to develop despite some of the other trappings that could be outside of these walls?
Well, we sell them on the experience, all right? Howard University is in the middle of Washington, D.C. We're the #1 HBCU in the country, all right? We're the only HBCU that's sponsored by Jordan, all right? And we have an opportunity to not only develop you as a football player, but have an opportunity to develop you as a young man. All right, like Coach Trei said, I leave my door open because I want our players to have a relationship with me and be able to come in and talk to me about anything. All right, when you're talking about HBCUs, we're not going to have the best facilities and anything like that, but what you can sell them on is the experience. What you can sell them on is the long-term game, the game of life, being able to succeed for yourself and being able to provide for your family. And that's what we sell to these guys. And if you're good enough to go to the National Football League, all of these coaches in the MEAC, these are great coaches because we have to do more with less than anybody else that coaches at the Power 4.
But you just talking about going to the league, and DJ, you trying to hit on it. Like, that top dude you start seeing the progression. It's a good chance he's about to chase money somewhere. Are y'all recruiting every single day of the year to the guys you already recruited?
Yeah, you have to recruit, but you have to develop your entire team now. Usually you had a couple guys that were good and you maybe can know that, that freshman may redshirt. Now you can't do that. You got to develop your entire team because even that starter, he may leave, but you may have somebody, all right, that goes somewhere else that may get paid some money and you don't know his family situation that you can't pay him the money, but somebody else can pay him the money. So you got to develop your whole team and you got to be expecting that your team is going to change from year to year. All right, and that's why the experience, that's why the relationship base, all of that has to take an effect, all right, with the coach. Because if a kid, maybe can, say, hey, I had a great experience at Howard University. All right, this other school can pay me 70, but maybe they can pay me 25 or 30, and I'm good with that. All right, you be able to sell them on the experience, and hopefully they stay with you because you have a great relationship with them.
And as former players, I'm sure I can speak for all of us when I say when we got the schedule, we looked at.
Yeah,
I know, right?
I know where you go.
We looked at our rivalry game, but as coaches, especially coaches at a HBCU, I just want to ask each of you, what game stands out first? Is it homecoming?
Well, Howard homecoming is second to none. All right,
and he answered that question like he went to Howard.
What's your thing, man?
Chad, don't you start. Hey, don't you start that.
I know, sir. What other place you could go? And when I went to Howard, Shannon, in 1998, that was my first time meeting Biggie Smalls. All right, Jay-Z performed on the Yard. All right, this is not a Diddy and all of those, Junior Mafia and all of those guys, they perform. And that was the experience that you had at Howard that you couldn't have at Maryland and other schools. Yeah. You got an opportunity to stand on the sideline with Taraji Henson. You got an opportunity to stand on the sideline with Anthony Anderson. Those are experiences that you get at Howard University that you can't get anywhere else. All right, and being able to develop a relationship with those people. So our first game, we play against Alabama A&M, is on national television, it's on ABC. So we get an opportunity to not only showcase the Howard University brand, but actually be able to showcase the MEAC brand. All right, and that's what we're about, just making sure that we understand that this is a great conference, and we get an opportunity to display that on ABC.
And DeSean, is it the Halloween game for you, your old teammate?
I mean, last year that was the game, but I mean, you can't disrespect the game. We all done played the game. You can't look that far into the season. So I would say the first game. Also, you take one game at a time. But last year playing at the Link, hopefully that game's not solidified yet. But if we go back this year, that'd definitely be a huge game for us. But man, I just respect the game so much. Stony Brook, we played them August 27th at home under the lights. I'm looking forward to that. And so beyond, after the next game, one game at a time. That's my mentality.
I was definitely rivalry. North Carolina A&T.
He going straight to it.
You know,
That's your first game, Trey?
No, it's not the first game. I don't know when it is.
Hey, he was honest.
But they know what it is. We know what it is.
Yeah, for sure.
Yes.
When I was in school, we didn't go on their campus. They ain't come on our campus. You know, much
love
respect
that.
to my homeboy Gibbs over there. I love him to death. That's my dog. But
Sure.
it's gonna go down when we play them.
Hey, I love the way he answered questions. He be like, hey, man, listen, y'all can say all y'all want to say about this first game, this coach speak. I'm talking about this one.
Hey, y'all got the one.
You know,
I don't know. Y'all just met me, but y'all.
I'm talking about
Rob,
this.
You know what I was gonna say? I thought he was gonna say us, but you know, I know he's trying to get South Carolina too, because you know we was popping the lad. Now I thought he was gonna say us. You know, we put out the cameraman and say, "Hold on, what you was gonna say?" He didn't want to do it again after that.
Y'all finished with the same record, right?
I mean, we beat him though on homecoming at home,
there we go.
on this field. You know.
Whoa.
Hey,
this conversation.
Congratulations, Jack. They did beat us. They beat us for homecoming. But we're going to be back in Dover, and we're going to return that lick. We'll be back in there. I was going to get that lick back.
Gotta get your lick back.
Yeah.
D-Jack, can, for people who are aspiring to be coaches, my question would be this. What's something you know going into this year that you didn't last year?
I mean, it's the real deal. I mean, you can't hop in this thing and not think it's gonna be work. You know, and that was the reason why I was coaching high school before I got to this role, and you know, I was just worried about, like, when I played, obviously, college and the NFL, you know, our coaches spent a lot of time at the facilities. And I was like, man, I played 15 years. The last thing I want to do is be at a facility longer than I was when I was a player. So, I mean, for me, I just think it's the grind. You know what I'm saying? It's being there, being dedicated. And, you know, you got to be present. You know, being a head coach, if you're not present and you're not there in the trenches with your players, I mean, they're not going to have no respect for you. So, I just think, you know, for players that played at a high level, and if you want to get into coaching, man, just take it serious. But anything is possible. Like you said, I came in and I didn't have experience. You know, there was nothing nobody could tell me like, oh, he been coaching all these years. I didn't. But at the end of the day, I get better with time. And I feel like, you know, coming into that scenario, like I was going to be a winner because that's just how I am in my life.
Yeah, I mean, I think the maturity for me is what's shown. Like I said, you led as a player by example, but just being in that spot, seeing the success of your team, the way that your team responded to you, which I think is all important, you know, for all of you coaches. Coach, you have this fire about you, though. Like, I could tell, like, when it's time, you know how to get down. How do you balance that? You know, there's I always say, like my first conversation with you or my first interaction with you can't be you tearing me down if you haven't built a level of trust between myself and you as a head coach. How do you balance the getting on players and grinding them and the love that you need to show them so they know that when they are at Central, it is the best place?
Yeah, that's a great question. But it's like a bank. I can't withdraw from a kid. I can't tear him down. I can't get on him unless I deposit within him. You got to build him up. You know, if I get on a guy, the last thing I'm gonna say to him before we leave that conversation at the office, it's gonna be something positive. But it's gonna be times we're gonna have some heart-to-heart conversations, and I'm gonna make them withdrawals. But at the same time, I got to deposit and leave some positive thoughts with him. But as long as you communicate, I think everything starts with communication within a relationship, and be upfront with kids. They respect that. But I think the problem is when it's gray area and they don't know where you all stand. That's where lack of communication. That's where you start having issues.
Yeah, I think that's also what you speak to, Coach, is consistency.
Exactly.
Right? I used to always talk about my coaches, like if you walk past me in the hall one day and you don't speak, then that's what I'm gonna expect from you every day. And if you are inconsistent, now I don't know which you I'm getting, right? But if you show up every day the same way, the same person, and pour into us the same way, now I know what you're here for, what you're about. And I think what you said is all important for kids to understand while you're recruiting them.
And in our community, you know, there's a lot of single mothers. So y'all all three talked about being a father figure.
Right. Yeah.
Taking those guys, knowing where they came from, and still trying to navigate that personality. How hard is that when you're a coach, but you're a dad as well?
Well, see, the thing is that, again, the relationship, if a kid does not have a male figure in his life, you can't get him and think you're going to talk to him anyway and reprimand him and get on him. You better build a relationship, and he knows that you care about him. Because it's the first male that he's dealt with in this way. So if you have a relationship with them, now, you know, the kids want to be loved. They want to be corrected. They want discipline. That's what they want at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And I think, again, if you are honest, upfront, and consistent, it's easy. And then you see the growth and developing these young men over 3 and 4 years.
I asked Commissioner Stills what was the standard of the MEAC, because we always hear about the culture of the HBCUs, but what's the standard that you guys look to put out there so that everyone that doesn't give it the credit that it deserves compared to PWIs, what's the standard that you guys look to emphasize?
That's good. That's a good question.
Excellence. I think when you talk about excellence, you're talking about academically as well as football. When people think about HBCU football, they think about raw talent. You know, I think we have some great coaches with these 6 coaches that we have in this league that have been at various places that are able to bring that information back to our guys and put together, just from a fundamental standpoint, an opportunity for a guy to have an opportunity to play in the NFL. All right. Now, we had a conversation yesterday just with guys that hadn't been drafted from HBCUs to the NFL, but hopefully that changes. Hopefully that changes because we play a good brand of football. I think for the last couple of years, the Black College National Championship has came out of the MEAC, you know, and when we play in the MEAC SWAC Challenge in the last couple of years, that the MEAC has always been a superior conference. And we want to just make sure that we just show excellence throughout the conference, whether it's academically, whether it's in the community, all right, whether you get an opportunity with South Carolina State, and I'm just using them because they won it last year, all right, they have some guys in the NFL that are doing some great things. All right, so when you talk about a good brand of football, you want to talk about the MEAC. And when you talk about coaches that develop, you want to be able to talk about the MEAC.
Yeah. If somebody asked you, DeSean, to describe Delaware State football in one sentence, what would that sentence be? And I think, you know, for you as well, Coach, at Central, and for you as well at Howard.
Man, we're very aggressive. You know, I think we're very personal as well, too. It's a high standard. You know, we don't dumb down our standard for anybody. If you're a starting quarterback, the expectations, which we expect you to go on a daily basis to be a leader, you know, to control and command the huddle, and, you know, just to lead. Like, you know, in my career, I never was a rah-rah guy. I led by example on the field. So I think in every player, you're going to get a different perspective from every player. But, you know, for us, man, we're very physical. And as you hear these other coaches talking, you know, for me, it's surprising because I come to HBCU. Obviously, I went to Cal. It was Pac-10 at the time. You know, I think it's not enough credit on this level. You know, going non-conference and then getting into the MEAC, I feel like the MEAC conference, you know, was a lot tougher than our non-conference game was. And I was thinking like, all right, the hardest part is going to be non-conference. Then we get to the MEAC, I'm like, that's going to be a breeze. Like, let's just make it past this, and then it's going to be a breeze. And we get to conference, and a lot of those teams we was playing been beating up on us for the past year. So it was some tough nitty-gritty games. But, you know, overall, man, just physicality, I think, all across the board. And every MEAC team you're going to see is going to be very physical.
How about for you, Coach?
My essential culture over scheme. And we always talk about culture. Team GPA is over 3.2. Kids in the community, phones not ringing at night, getting in trouble, all this craziness. But and then schematically, we play a good brand of football, like Ted said. We've sent 12 to 14 kids in the last 5 years to the league. We got Corey Bullock here, Devontae Walker here that we're at on our roster here. So we got dudes in the league. We develop them. So, you know, the culture is there, and schematically, you know, we play a really good brand of ball. And, you know, I love playing PWIs. And I challenge y'all to look at our record against the PWIs. They get that work, too.
How about you, Coach White?
When you talk about our football team, I think you talk about a team that's disciplined, that wants to play with the passion and play with the love of the football game. I think sometimes as athletes, we lose the love aspect because you don't get necessarily the money that you get from the P4s and all of the other places. So you got to be able to play for the love of the game, and you got to have coaches that are willing to develop talent, all right, and raise you more than just a football player. Yeah, so I'm excited about this year.
Yeah, your schools and your universities, but your football teams are all in great hands. So to DeSean Jackson, Coach Trei Oliver, and Ted White, thank you so much for your time and letting us know a little bit about what the MEAC conference truly is. Coach Damon Wilson, Mike Vick, and obviously champion Chennis Berry with the championship Gucci shoes on. You know, Coach, I want to start with you, though.
Yes,
when we're talking about excellence, it's exactly what your team has displayed the last 2 seasons, going on to win the Celebration Bowl as well. How important is it for you to continue showing that there's a high-level football being played in the MEAC?
Absolutely. And when we talk about that in our program all the time, we talk about there's a standard. All right, players change, people change, but the standard can't change. And we've been fortunate at South Carolina State to be able to uphold the standard. If you look at the history of HBCU football, some of the greats that ever coached the game, Oliver Buddy Pugh, Willie Jeffries, pioneers in this game of football, not just in HBCU football, but all over, man. There's a standard of how we do things at South Carolina State. There's some really good football coaches all over HBCU football. And they deserve their flowers, man, because we had to get it out the mud, man.
Yeah.
You know, in our profession, we talk about you plan your work, then you go work your plan. And I've been fortunate, like I say, to you know, be around some really good people, great administrators, great people, great players, to be able to get the fruits of our labor as we try to go 1-0 every day. And that's our philosophy in our program, win the day and go 1-0.
And Coach Wilson, to that point, he was saying, you know, get it out the mud where it's not as much funding.
That's right.
You know, HBCU doesn't have that money and all that craziness. How much more difficult do you think it is, or do you know it is, getting HBCUs to that top level?
Like I said, you have more challenges. But at the end of the day, a standard is a standard, a mindset is a mindset. So no matter where you are, if you put the work in, you have a chance to be successful and get the right people in your program, then you have a chance to be successful. And I started at a Division II level, you know, and we won several championships and underfunded in a number of ways. But at the end of the day, you have the right people around you, and you're developing young men and giving them opportunity to be successful in life. That's what it's all about.
And we talk about getting it out the mud. Mike, you got some uphill climbing to do. What does this season look like going forward for you?
Going forward, man, just trying to take it one day at a time, man. Obviously, you know, the goal is never going to change. It's to win the championship. And, you know, we definitely had a rough season last year. You know, we don't shy away from that. You know what I mean? We embraced that. You know what I mean? It was a lot of lessons learned, you know, in the losses. And I'm pretty sure as our team looked back at the season last year, because I made them go back and watch it, like, yo, look, y'all beat yourselves in a lot of situations. And, you know, it's easy to lose a football game. You know what I'm saying? It's hard to win it because everything has to go right. And so, you know, just looking back at the mistakes and things that we can do better, obviously gave us a lot of things to teach on.
Yeah. Coach, you know, at Morgan State, you know, you guys struggled a little bit last year. What are some of the things you focused on in this offseason to get your team from that point to not only be more competitive, but to winning some of those games y'all lost by making mistakes late?
Right, great point. We lost, I think, 4 or 5 games last possession. And it went down to the little things. So we just talked a lot this offseason about situational football, putting those guys in different situations throughout the course of practice, in the classroom, meeting rooms, as well as the small thing, the discipline. You know, you talked about finishing through a line, hand behind the line. When you don't do those little things right, that gives you the opportunity to lose those types of games. And so that's just something that we've been working on all off season, and I think the guys understand it now.
And just overall player-wise, you know, Coach, I've heard that these young boys, they don't know situational football. Like, they don't understand football. I don't know if it's 7-on-7. I don't know what's creating this, but a lot of coaches are telling me, like, they don't really know football. They're athletes, they fast, they can throw, they can catch, but they don't understand the game. Are you seeing that more and more?
Well, for us, I can speak of our program. You know, we probably practice situational football before we practice anything. Everybody wants to do the installs, you know, but we have to put them at adverse moments in practice. All right, so when we get to those opportunities in the game, like we start practice with a crossover drill. I come up with the scenario. It might be ball on the 9-yard line. It's 4th and goal from the 9. We got one play, and give them different scenarios. Give them overtime scenarios. Give them 3rd down scenarios. So obviously we talk about winning situational football, whether that's 3rd down, whether that's red zone, whether that's backed up. Because the game of football really gonna come down to really good situational.
Yeah. Hey, Coach, I know you recruit a lot. No church has recruited you to be the pastor yet?
You got a voice, don't it?
You've been working on that. Make you want to play.
Hey, golly. Coach got me wanting to play.
Listen, man.
Hey, tell me to down the distance.
Hey, man, if it's God's calling for me to do it, man, I'm going to trust it, man.
Hey.
Work you playing, man.
Man, goodness gracious. Mike, you know, you talked to us a little bit in the back. You said you had a plan of doing this, and it kind of came a little early for you in the opportunity at Norfolk State. For you, when you had your guys watch that film to try to learn from those mistakes, what were you watching in the way that you handled game situations so you could be better in year 2?
Yeah, I think for me, I mean, to go back and ask them to watch it, I'd already played every scenario in my head. Like, it was so many things I felt like I could have done better. But at the same time, you know, wanting to be natural, you know, allowing everybody to get a feel for what was happening and what was going on, and just being really observant. Man, you know, I took so many things away from this season. I got to have the same poise that I had, you know, as a quarterback. I have to have the same leadership mentality in all facets as I had as a quarterback. And, you know, now I'm just pushing them and demanding a lot more, living vicariously through them. So it's like, you know, how would I want my teammate to respond? How would I want, you know what I'm saying, the defense to respond in certain situations? And now it's just my own. And I get to, you know, look at it, critique it, make the players better, make my coaches better, obviously, and, man, just put ourselves in a position where we compete.
And Mike, we all played against you, but I played directly across from you, and I was the spy one time.
That
he
didn't
took
work
off,
out.
and I took
Why
off.
they make you the spy?
Why they make me the spy? Mike? That's why I had to ask my defensive coordinator. But, like, to a quarterback like that was so great as you were, to talk to your quarterbacks, be like, hey, man, just juke him out and take off running. Like, you know, almost do what I did.
Yeah.
But now you got to pull it back. And how do you go from your mind to put it into a young quarterback?
Look, everybody's different from a talent perspective, but I think from a mentality perspective, we can all be on one accord. You know what I'm saying? It's a championship mentality, a championship attitude that you got to have. And a resilient attitude that you got to have as a quarterback. And so I'm looking for the ones who are mentally tough. And so last year, you know, I wanted to give everybody an opportunity, man. You know, we had what we had. This year it's all about pouring into those guys and making sure I get the most out of them every single day and make sure that they're mentally tough to go 4 quarters.
Yeah. Coach, you talked about a championship mentality. I've always been interested in teams or organizations that have a high level of success consistently, right? Making sure that their new players or their new coaches don't believe that they're entitled to that level of success. How do you keep your team motivated to continue to put in the work that got you guys there in the first place?
Absolutely, and I'm glad you said that, man. You know, people talk about teams, right? In our place, we talk about having a great program, because programs win consistently year in and year out. But I truly believe you got to have great players, you got to have great coaches. But I think the most important thing is having great alignment. And when I say alignment, that means we got to be on the same page, same sentence, same line, same letter, same word. And that starts with administration. You have to have great alignment with your president. I'm grateful to have a great alignment with our president, President Conyers. Then that has to go down to our athletic director. Coach Oliver Buddy Pugh is my athletic director. And then it has to go to the head football coach. So when you got great alignment from the president to the AD, to the head football coach, you have a chance to have success. And then there's expectations. When you come into our program, there's a standard on how we do things, all the way down to what socks we wear, to how we sit in the first 3 rows in the classroom. There's a standard, and if people coming in won't buy into the standard, they can't be a part of our program. So again, you got to be consistent. I think more than anything, we don't tell our guys to be perfect, because the reality is in life, none of us are perfect. We just want them to be consistently good. Give their best effort on the field, off the field, because it's bigger than football. It's inevitable, right? This game is going to end, as you guys know, right?
Yeah.
It's going to end one day, right? Our obligation, when we're in a leadership role, to get these young men ready for this game we call life, because they're going to spend more time as fathers, husbands, leaders in their communities than they will be as football players. So we have an obligation. I always tell our coaches, man, you know, we got to lead from the front. How we dress, how we speak, our energy, our interaction, they're watching, because we got 18 through about 23, 24-year-old impressionable young men. So you got to be consistent, and you got to have great alignment. That's the key to success.
I love that.
Coach, you've had multiple championships, CIA, you were AFCA Coach of the Year, now here in the MEAC. What do you see the future as the future of the MEAC?
And MEAC is a strong conference. I mean, you're talking about it's 6 teams. Super duper competitive each and every week.
Yeah.
You have some smart football coaches in this conference. So I think the future is bright. I think the future, the stuff that Coach Berry and South Carolina State have done the last few years, the things he did before he came to South Carolina State. But That stuff needs to be talked about. You know, you got coaches like that in this conference that have won consecutive championships. I was fortunate enough to be a part of a three-peat myself, and you got to learn how to be successful, then how to sustain success.
Yeah.
So that's where we're at right now. We're still trying to learn how to be successful. Then once you learn how to become successful, you got to sustain it, and that's the hard part because of what you just mentioned, Ryan. And that's where we are now. But I say the conference is very competitive. It's a strong conference.
Does the landscape or the recent shift in the landscape with NIL, Rev sharing that entire package, does that make it more competitive or less competitive?
I think it does. I mean, the reality is this: we're going to lose some of our good players, but we got to develop that next guy. We don't have the opportunity to feel sad. We're not going to go out and throw out a lot of money that these other programs are doing. So you got to develop them. You got to coach. You know, and you have to speed that process up. Definitely would go into a 5-year clock now, as far as those guys having 5 years to play. Everybody's a senior, because you have the transfer portal and you got a 5-year clock. You got to get the most out of your guys you bring in the camp every day, and those guys got to be ready to perform. And then if they do that, you got a chance to be successful.
Coach Berry be preaching to him. Stay here now. We'll be okay to go.
Why would you leave? Why would I leave?
But is that tough? Is that tough recruiting a kid you got to recruit them pretty much once a week, don't you?
You do. You have to recruit them continuously. Our philosophy in our program, we recruit them. You got to recruit the right fit, though.
Yeah.
Not just recruit the player. So we're going to recruit them. We're going to try to retain them. All right? Then we got to develop them, like Coach Wilson just said. Then we want to graduate them. You know, in our program, we talk about chasing A's, B's, C's, and D's, right? But what are those? A's and B's in the classroom, non-negotiable, right? C's are championships, and D's are degrees. Really, if you do that and you chase that every day, not to say you're going to always accomplish it all the time, but chase A's and B's, dominate in the classroom, right? All right? Then dominate in terms of recruiting them, retain them, develop them, then graduate them. Now you can get them ready for the game of life.
Man, I need a pen.
Hey. Oh, just run the tape back. Hey, that's all you got to do.
Before. You got
Run the tape back.
Chad, coach gonna be watching the pivot. I'm gonna be like, see, because if I was coaching, I would tell him chase A's, B's, C's, and D's.
You think I ain't simple?
He gonna be like, I heard that somewhere before. I ain't give him no shout out, no credit, nothing.
You know I steal people's stuff all the time.
That junk gonna be viral. They be like, man, Ryan Clark should be coaching.
I love it. I love it.
Hey,
I love it.
Mike, for you do get into this conference, and the thing that struck me when DeSean was sitting in that same seat, he said, you know, I thought that non-conference was going to be the difficult part. He said, and then we got into conference play, and he's like, every week it was a grind.
Yeah.
For you, when you got into the MEAC and you realized the high-level coaching, the high-level play, how much did that inspire you, though, to say, okay, we have to get myself and Norfolk State ready to play each and every week in this conference?
I mean, realistically speaking, I knew the conference play was going to be the toughest. Like, I knew Coach Berry's background. I knew about Damon. I knew about Trei. And the track record spoke for itself. So I was like, look, if we can win some non-conference games first and get a good feel before, you know, unfortunately that ain't happened. It was like, because I knew that was going to be a grind within itself. And, man, just like listening to Damon, listening to Coach Berry talk, man, us spending time over the last couple of days, I understand why they've been so successful. I understand why they're in the position that they're in. They get it, they understand it. You know what I'm saying? Not afraid to tell me, like, yo, hey, you can do this a little better, you might can do that a little better. Open book. Coach was like, you know, always been that way from the time I came into the MEAC conference. And so, you know, hopefully I'll be in a position one day where I can continue to pay it forward like they've been doing, you know, for us, man, and keeping it competitive, keeping it fun, and keeping it so we can all sit down and still have a conversation, man, and just have a good time and laugh about it.
Yeah, Vick, he ain't tell you all the secrets, though.
Nah, hell no. I don't want to know. I don't want to know all the secrets. No, I mean, that right. Oh man, if you think I'm not like soaking some things in, like I'm not trying to be Coach Berry or Coach Dane, but shit, I mean, I'm taking some away from it.
Yeah, I have a question to either of you coaches, right? Because just going back in the recruiting process, I was recruited. So if you look way, way back, I think I would be considered a 5-star. Chennis, don't say anything. But
can't argue
also
that.
On the flip side,
that's real.
They had the internet when 5-star. There was no internet when Frank came out.
You wouldn't know what you was.
That is true. On the flip side of that, I was also a parent. My son was about a 4-star, went to the University of Florida. The thing that I noticed most, though, is HBCUs, they didn't even attempt to come and recruit at our school. 4 or 5 star. I guess they already automatically assumed that the decision was made. What's you guys' approach and process or think process when it comes to those 4 and 5 star guys that are considered PWI guys? Do you even go after them?
We do, but we also are realistic with the situation, especially now with the financial means are in place. But the one thing when we go after them, what we talk about is that family atmosphere. We talk about the good quality education. You might not be on certain stations every Sunday or every Saturday playing, but you're going to get a good quality education. You're going to be in a family environment. You're going to play in a competitive conference. You're going to graduate. And if you're good enough, you still going to have opportunity to play on Sundays.
Without a doubt.
So yes, we do, but we're really strategic in when we do it. And sometimes, like I'm fortunate now, we had a couple guys bounce back. Guys that went off and realized, hey man, I want to come back home and play. These letters aren't as important as this family atmosphere, this development may be. So yes, I think it's important to go after those guys, but be with realistic expectations. Just because if things don't work out, they can remember that offer you gave them. They can remember that offer.
And they used to sell us on opportunity to play. You know, development, how good the team's gonna be. I'm hearing now it's all a financial. It's a transaction.
That's what it is, bro.
It's just you walk in the door and they talking about how much you got, 50, 60? Okay, 70, I'm going to 70. Is it really that way?
They really want their money.
Go ahead, Mike.
Nah, I mean, I feel like, you know, it comes down to a couple of different factors. You know, they gonna see what's out there for them. And at a bigger score, P5, and then, you know, what you got. I mean, that's just the way it works now. And, you know, I found myself, you know, we find ourselves negotiating with these young men like, damn, we got to, I mean, it is a business for everybody. And I respect it. But that don't make us shy away from not going after some of the top guys and, you know, P4, P5 guys. You gotta go after them. You know what I'm saying? 4-star, 5-star. You know, shoot for the stars. If you miss, you'll be amongst them. And like Coach says, I'm gonna bounce back, and you'll get them. They'll come back to you.
Well, I think if they make a decision to go elsewhere and it doesn't work out, they start to think about who did I have a good relationship with? Who did I have a good feel for? And having conversation, where do I think I can develop? And how do you, Coach Max, you this, Coach, how do you balance sort of thinking to yourself, okay, this guy didn't want to be here, now he is, thinking about, is he right for your culture, though? Even though he's thought of or was thought of as this talented of a player, that's now falling off. Does he fit in my locker room?
Fit is very important for us. You know, we're going to vet every kid that comes in our program. To us, he may be an outstanding player, but if he doesn't fit our culture, we won't take him. You know what I'm saying? And when we talk about the relational and transactional, yes, it is very transactional. But in our program, we want it to be relational. All right? We're going to coach them hard, but we're going to love them harder. And when you have those relationships, those guys will try to run through the wall for you. You know, you hear the old saying, man, they don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. I mean, it's real. You know, we're going to coach them hard. Like, we coach them hard. I got an outstanding coaching staff that I truly believe in, but we're going to love them hard. And when they know that, they'll run through the wall for you. But in terms of the culture piece, like, for us, we have a process. Everything is about process, all right? We're process-oriented. So even in the recruiting process, yes, we're going to go after that top guy. We're going to try to get that guy. We think in the Palmetto State of South Carolina, there's some really good football players, all right? But we sell all the time. Look, we're the only team in the state of South Carolina that has 4 NFL Hall of Famers, okay? So if you get an opportunity to come to a place like us where we're going to love you, yes, we don't have all the brick and the mortar, all right? But we have relationships, all right? We have where we're going to develop you in football and develop you in life. So again, we may not get them the first time. We may not get them the second time. But in the transfer portal role, if they fit, they have the right discipline. Because what I'm going to do, I'm going to make sure my coaches go out, go coach them, right? Go recruit them, right? Go get them. And then the first thing I want to know, what's his character? What kind of young man is he? All right? When I go to the school, I want to talk to the lady in the cafeteria. All right? I want to talk to the lady the lady that's cleaning the building. I want to see what kind of young man. Yeah, absolutely. Is he cordial? All right? When he comes on an OV, how's he talking to his mother? That's important to me. Because if he don't fit us, I'll get back into our staff as we reconvene and say, all right, he doesn't fit South Carolina State University. Regardless of what kind of player he is. Because at the end of the day, it's going to come down to discipline. The game of football is going to come down to discipline. You can be the best player in the world, but if you have no discipline and talent, it's got to be, in our program, we talk about you have potential, right? You got great potential, right? But does the performance meet the potential? That's
real. Yeah, and that has to happen on game day. That has to happen in situational football. Coach, how much does discipline outside of football, in your opinion, play into how players react on game day?
It's everything. Because you spend less time on the football field than you do off the football field. So whatever you do in your outside of the football world, it's going to show up on the field. So if you're cheating your body, you're not doing right in the classroom, you're not sitting in those first 3 rows, you're going to make bad decisions on game day. It's probably going to cost the football team. But us, like what Coach Berry said, we try to paint that total picture and develop that complete person. Because that guy might want to be a dad one day. He may want to be a husband one day. So if you cheat now, what's going to happen when you have that 4 or 5-year-old daughter and she comes to you and asks her a question and you're not prepared to answer a question because you used to cheat? No, you have to put yourself in position to see the big picture. And that's something, once again, that we always talk about, something in recruiting that we, that we talk about, that we deal with. And if a person does not fit that mold, you got to make a decision and go elsewhere.
I couldn't play for y'all.
You was undisciplined.
It's over. I did my job, son.
There you go.
You
gone.
They asking too much, Jay?
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
What
bro.
You can have a couple of you on
ain't
the team,
sweet
but you can't
down
have a
here.
whole team
y'all
full
I'm All-American, coach. I gave you 4 hours. I got
You ball
take
and get some
advantage
grace.
of the 20.
about 20.
It wasn't at a HBCU.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But no, the father's part of that, though, because you talking about like having a daughter,
Yeah.
talking about girls, now they coming into their, first time when they on their own and all that. Y'all are doing all of that stuff for these young men a lot of times,
Everything.
being young black men coming to y'all's program.
Everything. We got to, just like they got to lock in, we got to lock in on them. We got to keep an eye on them, you know what I'm saying? Courage is what you're doing when people ain't watching. That's what I tell the boys. And, look, I'm always watching everything. I see everything. I hear everything, even when they think I don't. You know what I mean? So I'm pulling up on them and they're like, damn, Coach, how you find it? Don't worry about it. I'm on it. You know what I'm saying? The eyes and ears everywhere because, that, like I say, discipline is everything. It's going to carry you a long way. It's going to take you a lot further in life. And why not start in a place where you got an opportunity to be around so many men who pouring into you, who care about you, not just on the field, but off the field, and trying to give you a little game. And so we trying to just make them better, man. And they receive that. The connectivity be there, but you got to work on it every day.
Yeah.
It's an everyday thing because it don't take but 1 second for them to stray off and start doing something that's super silly.
Yeah, hey, Coach, and I don't want to make you uncomfortable, but I've been sitting with you for the last 25 minutes. You don't seem to ever get uncomfortable. But sometimes HBCU can be used as a stepping stone, right? Where I'm going to go show people who I can be, how I can develop a program in hopes of getting another opportunity. How do you ensure your president, who you spoke about, your athletic director, who you spoke about, the boys on your teams, that while my feet are on this campus, I'm only focused on winning here?
Absolutely. Bloom where you planted. Be where your feet are. All right? And Esther 4:14 in the Bible, it talks about for such a time as this. All right? Your time there, I tell our players all the time, man, you get a chance to set a legacy for the next 20, 30 years of your life. What difference did you make? That dash that's in the middle. You probably heard me talk about the dash, right? That dash, you don't know when you enter a place, you don't know when you're gonna leave, but you got full control of that dash in the middle. And while you're there, just bloom where you planted. Be where your feet are. Be the best you can be at where you're at. And if somebody sees something in your value and your worth, the opportunities may come from that. But I want guys to be where their feet are. Be the absolute best you can be every day at South Carolina State University. And if the good Lord say the same, then you might be able to benefit from the fruits of your labor, but I want guys to be where their feet are.
How do you guys deal with that, though? Pouring into a player and understanding that some of your best players will be poached by bigger schools with bigger pockets.
You got to control what you can control. Somebody poured into me. Somebody gave me an opportunity. So I think I got a responsibility and an obligation to do the same.
Do you ever try to get ahead of it? Well, you see a kid balling and try to talk to him.
You got to stay ahead of the curve. You
Got to, yeah.
You have
You
to.
got to.
You know when you're recruiting a kid, what the chances are if you're recruiting the right kid. But you try to stay ahead of it in the way, I'm not going to outwin the money game. I can outwin the love game. I can outwin the care game. You know, I can get in that, be that person that developing a relationship with mama and daddy. So when it comes down to the money, mom and daddy say, hey, this coach care a little bit more. And let's stay put, you know. So yes, you try to be ahead up. You have to.
I think it was the coach, and I could be getting the school wrong, at Nevada. And he was talking about how he recruits kids to his program. And he was saying, and he made it a joke, but he said, you know, if I do the right thing with a kid, then you'll go off and get millions of dollars at Oregon, right? And the joke was like, I'm supposed to recruit the best possible player I can, best possible student athlete, develop him the best I can. And he even told him, and I understand that means I may lose you, but if I'm doing my job right, that's actually what should happen. Talk a little bit about this world, though, Mike, that we now live in.
I think that philosophy, I kind of embraced it coming in, because I understood the landscape, and obviously not being in it as long as Coach Chennis or Coach Berry. I'm sorry, Dame. Not being in there as long, man, I'm like, yo, if I do my job, if everybody do their job, then ultimately you're going to get what you're supposed to get out of it. And it's not just for me. It's not going to be, you know, therapeutic for me when it's all said. It's going to be great for him, the player, his family, and you're going to get everything that you put out of it that you put into it.
Yeah.
So, man, go get your bag, but it has to happen right here. You got to take care of this first, because if you don't take care of it right here, it's never going to come. It's never going to happen. So take the teaching, take the coaching, put yourself in the best position possible in order for somebody to come and allow you that opportunity and allow you that access to come into their program.
Yeah, I asked the other coaches, what do they look at first when they see the schedule release? We got a couple of politically correct answers.
Yeah, we did.
Ted so homecoming.
Right.
He said the first game.
Right.
D-Jack said the first game. And,
Trei Oliver.
And Trey, he
Yeah.
kept it
You
100.
look at what?
What'd you say?
At the schedule, he said, look, it's all about the rivalry. He talked about NC State, North Carolina A&T.
Yes.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I want to ask you guys the same thing. On schedule release, what do you look at first, Coach?
Well, anybody that knows me, I'm a 1-0 kind of guy. You know, I focus on now. All right, what's right here in front of me, and we open up versus Savannah State University. So my focus 100% is on Savannah State University. So regardless of who else is on the schedule, we're going to try to go 1-0 and dominate that day.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. You know, it's always that first game. Just like when we played, you know, whether it was college or whether it was in the league, you always prepare for that week one. Because if you don't get week one right and you don't win in week one, it just feel like the whole world coming to you. You know what I'm
You
saying?
only
You
got
start
one chance,
all
yeah.
the preparation, and then it all goes for naught. I'm like, yo, so this year, man, Winston-Salem State is who we got first. And it's like one of our coaches who was with us last year, he's the head coach there now. And so we know we got an uphill battle because he might know some things about us. But yeah, I mean, get off to a good start, man. Be 1-0, and then, you know, let everything else follow.
Yeah.
It's week one for me. I mean, think about it, man. Whatever you ended up in the championship game last year. You got a new team. You done went through winter workouts, spring ball. This is your first opportunity to get back on the field.
Yeah.
So week one is the most. We go down to North Carolina A&T to start off our season at old MEAC foe. So I'm excited about that opportunity. But week one, to answer that question.
Hey, Coach Vick, Coach Wilson, did he act like this before he was champion?
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you, I know
Yeah,
the
that's
camera
him.
rolled
That's
down.
Coach.
That's my frat brother too. So we he changed a little bit. The voice changed a little bit.
Hey,
learned a
the
few more
voice changed a
scriptures.
little
Learned a few more scriptures.
He know he the rabbit. Y'all the Greyhounds, he the rabbit. He act like the rabbit.
Hey, he said, did he change? Is he different now? Just for you, before we go, Mike, what's one philosophy you try to instill in your program?
You know, man, it's just you are what you eat, man. You know, just hang with the right people. Try to be the best version of yourself each and every day. You know, watch the crowds. Don't try to hang in with the crowd. Don't be peer pressure. All those little things that, you know, you hear when you're young.
Yeah.
And it feel like it don't mean a lot. And now I find myself saying the same thing to them. I got a 23-hour rule with the guys, man. You can go 23 hours in a day doing the right thing. You slip up in that last hour, that's all everybody gonna remember.
Real
so
talk.
I just try to leave them with that, man, and just like, yo, be the best version of yourself, have good football character, and do what's right when people not watching.
Yeah, you know, Coach, it seems that people still love you. You know, 2 years after winning, we got the predicted order of finish for this season. And I think as people can predict and expect, South Carolina State is at the top, North Carolina Central, Delaware State, Morgan State, Norfolk, and then Howard. Coach, there's a lot of expectations at your school, but from listening to you, from spending some time with you, I know you're ready to meet those expectations. So to Coach Mike Vick, to Coach Damon Wilson, and also to Coach Chennis Berry, thank you so much for your time. The MEAC is in very, very capable hands with you men, and I've truly enjoyed this opportunity. When you are the first woman to lead a conference, when you are the first woman to lead an NCAA Division I HBCU conference, there's a lot of pressure that's involved in that. How do you describe the way that you've approached this job, which has modernized this conference and elevated the status of it?
Wow. Well, thank you. Well, I didn't see it that way, but thank you. I say I'm like a reluctant leader. So I was definitely not trying to be a commissioner. When the previous commissioner left, he's like, well, he said he was retiring. He's like, you're going to be the next commissioner. I said, no, I'm not. Nobody wants 11 bosses at the time. I was like, no, you enough. Right. And so, you know, it's a humbling experience to be able to say, okay, I'm going to, you know, I've been there for a lot of years, and to approach it to the fact that I did not want to continue the same thing. Dr. Thomas did a great job in building the conference to where it is. So I wanted to be able to take it in a different direction, take the foundation and take it to a different direction. So it's very humbling to be able to have the support of the member institutions, the presidents who hired me. You know, I had to interview with all 8 of my presidents is very intimidating. And then to be picked that person to lead the conference. So I'm just humbled that we are able to do what we're doing, but it's based on the leadership that we have.
You say a reluctant leader, but you're great at it.
Oh, thank you.
Well, what's the hardest part? Because you have to manage people, you have to fundraise, you have to get partnerships, everything that you do. What is that? When you wake up in the morning, what do you say? Oh, okay, I got to tackle this first.
Man, you know, when you talk about leadership, you know, it's more about managing people.
Yeah.
That's really the thing about being a leader and managing people. Not only, you know, you manage your staff, but you have your presidents, you know, my bosses that, you know, I answer to. And then, of course, the athletic administrators, the athletic directors, senior administrators, and the faculty athletic representatives who actually set the tone. And so being able, we always say you got to lead up, down, side to side. So it's that managing people, the relationships, it's building relationships, you know, with corporate partnerships, and making sure that people are comfortable, excited about giving to the conference and being able to help us elevate and being a part of it. But building relationships is a big part of that.
She's so humble. You talk about being a reluctant leader, yet you were recognized as the 2025 Nike Exec of the Year.
Yes.
Come on now, you got to give it up. That. But even then, let's get into the MEAC.
Yes.
Not many people know about the MEAC, right? What makes it so special as a conference?
Wow. What? Let me tell you something. We are and I believe the only conference, and do your research, and I'm pretty sure I'm straight. We have all research-based institutions. We have Howard, who leads off with R1, and then the rest with R2, and then research-centered institutions. That's huge. Yeah. And so that makeup of who we are, the prestige that we have within the conference, I always say each HBCU conference has its own different culture. It's very different, and we are that. I feel like we're part of like the Ivy League of HBCUs. I feel that we are, and they're 8, we're 8, and we're strong together. And I think that's the important piece of who the MEAC is. Our football, and what we're here today to do, is very strong. And as you check the stats on the Celebration Bowl and the MEAC Swag Challenge, that shows the strength of our conference. And I don't know who could be at the top at any time because the talent is there. So I'm really anxious to see where it's going to land. Even though South Carolina State is at the top, everybody's coming.
Yeah, I was about to say that Coach Berry in South Carolina State, the last 2 years, they've been dominant. Yeah. But, you know, you keep speaking about the 8 schools. It's obviously six football teams in the conference, but you've made those teams and those schools so attractive, where you have alumni coming back to coach at schools they've played for, 2 former football players who played in the NFL at such a high level now in DeSean Jackson and Michael Vick. What has been your focus on making sure that the MEAC is not only a spot that coaches want to be a part of it, but making sure that those investors and those brands want to and understand how valuable MEAC football can be?
So really, it's about the culture, you know, of who we are. We're a family. And no matter who you come to, it's a family atmosphere. And so building that culture of excellence, discipline, and being able to amplify what our student athletes are doing. You know, when we elevated or evolved from the MEAC digital network into the MEAC network.
Yes.
You know, and that's a big part of showcasing our student athletes, and not only the athletic side, but the academic side. Athletics is the front porch to the university. Mm-hmm. So we want to show the university and their initiatives as well, and the alumni that come from our institutions, the MEAC nation as a whole. That's what creates or how we are built by us. Mm-hmm. The institutions, the alumni, the students building who we are.
And with I'm a UF guy, UF, LSU, you know, the PWIs as they call them.
Hey, and be honest too, you kind of like a Howard sort of honorary alum.
I was getting to that. My wife is a proud Bison, HU, you know, and they do all the yelling. I've been to homecoming and everything like that. Mm-hmm. But it's just different. Like, can you explain? Because I can't explain to people after going to Howard, being there around it. Yeah. It's different. And I was like, what's so great about it? And then it's the culture and things of that nature. Can you explain in a better way? Because you're more intelligent than me.
Whatever. Look, I went to Old Dominion University undergrad, and then I went to Hampton. Now, back in the day, Hampton and Norfolk State played at ODU's football stadium. So me and my friend, we dressing in blue and white so we can blend in with them. That's what I remember. But didn't truly understand. Now, I go to grad school at Hampton University. I meet my brothers who are football coaches at Hampton, and that's indoctrinated into the culture. The fashion, the bands, it's such a different atmosphere. Because, you know, at ODU, you know, PWI, you wake up, you go to school, whatever you throw on, some sweats or not. No, when you go to an HBC, you better be looking your best.
They stepping out.
You know, I never understood why you going to a football game with heels on. Like,
you know you got to walk in the stadium now.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You got to walk. Still to this day, I can't do that. But it's a different feeling. It's really a family atmosphere, you know, and it's no matter who's there, who's playing, we all gonna tailgate together, and then once it's all done on the field, we come together, we having a party, we having a great time. It's a different way of cultivating young men and women to prepare them for society. And you get that at a HBCU. You understand who you are. I did not really understand that to be an African American female until I was there at Hampton. To really understand it. And I was the assistant dean of women at the time. And my boss is, you know, cultivating me the stuff that I didn't get at a PWI. Yeah. So it's the best place you can ever go.
Well, I think you are just the epitome of what this is, of what the MEAC conference is, of what HBCUs are. You're elegant, you're graceful, but you're also proud. Proud of who you are, proud of the way you look, proud of the culture and community you come from, and we're proud of you as well. So continue doing what you're doing, continue to push the MEAC forward, and we'll continue to support that as well.
And I support you all.
Thank you so much. And we're signing off from the pivot from the MEAC 2026 Football Media Day.
Hold up, limitless. Take a stomach, got pinning it. I fought the head to witness it. Got my people feeling militant. Way I'm feeling got me up. On the mission got me up. Knowing me, I got the key. On the vision I can trust. Limitless. Take a stomach, got pinning it. I fought the head to witness it. Got my people feeling militant. Way I'm feeling got me up.